Welcome to Coinomics. So I will be sharing market news and updates um, with you all. And so welcome to Coinomics. And yes, I have changed my brand identity from Kryptonite to Coinomics, as I felt that this was the best thing to do, as the updates and news that I will be sharing will be more or less around the market update as to what's happening. So I will be looking to frequently share the market updates in a quick summarized view so everyone can spend you know 5 to 10 minutes just knowing what's happening in the marketplace to be well informed in terms of the things that's taking place. So before I begin this live show, just to let you know that as a disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so anything I do say here is more for awareness. Um, and please do your own research before you go ahead and do any trades or anything. So today, the three most important things that I'm going to share is number one, like everyone in the crypto community at the moment, we are left wondering what caused the dip, what is the root cause, and should I be worried, and what do I need to do? So I'll cover a few minutes on that. And the next thing is around the market news, what's happening in the marketplace with some of the stronger kind of altcoins out there, and just some updates in terms of regulatory updates and movements. And I'm also looking to put in place my NFT pick of the show. So I will share one of the NFTs that I come across, which I felt was promising based on its metaverse approach in kind of utilizing its NFT for different kind of topics. So without any further delay, let me go ahead and go into the first point. So what happened to Bitcoin on Monday? Was it a flash crash? What happened? So when we look at let's look at the charts first of all. So as you can tell, a lot of money was taken out. We at one point we must have dipped around 17.7%, around $8,651. We went down by that might be a fake off with a lot of selling. So dropped by minus 12.9%. So today it's forming an upper hammer, a top hammer. So it's kind of looking like it's going back. But when you look at the trending in terms of where we were back in summer, in terms of the trending, you can tell Bitcoin has come a long way. So where we were, you can tell it's kind of was consolidated for a longer period of time on the daily chart, and then all of a sudden in 20th of July it just spiked up, and obviously with this sudden parabolic increase, there needs to be some sort of slowdown, let the market recover, identify where it is. And based on my Fibonacci, as you can tell, we had a support line around 36,730. Kind of went down from there, then went for another run up, and on my support line as well. So resistance, they hit the 48,925, hit that resistance, went back down slightly, and now it was then at the form of consolidating and was looking to do another jump, but passing the kind of resistance line, it then kind of did a big dump through that period. Again, the markets try to understand what's happening by consolidating, and then obviously whatever happened yesterday, it went down. So that was on the daily. So if you look at the hourly chart, you can tell within was it UK time, from midnight till 4, was it on the 20th of September, at that point around 2 a.m. in the morning UK time, it just went down. So whatever happened, it would have been, the news would have been triggered off from APAC. So something happened in Asia around, around kind of 2 o'clock in the morning UK time. something must happen in Hong Kong or China, which kind of then led the parabolic downturn of that. So with that, my conclusion would be that fear in terms of the dump of Bitcoin and it going down could have been due to the fact that it was to do with Evergrande, um, which is a Chinese real estate um, kind of company. Um, so with the impact of Evergrande, so if I just go through the update on Reddit, what I've seen. So Evergrande has over 30 billion in assets and over 300 billion in liabilities, 80 million of which is due this week. So this is they are due to pay 80 million pounds in 80 million pounds, $80 million in liabilities this week, but they have already stated that they cannot pay this interest. So this is interest alone based on the liabilities and that they have to pay. So much like in 2008, the real estate market in China is highly leveraged and in an extreme bubble. Um, so now, how does this kind of impact the Chinese? Well, how does this impact from China affect US markets? So theoretically, it shouldn't be, but there is a ripple effect. So with Evergrande, uh, you know, when Evergrande was raising capital, they did so by selling commercial paper and investment grade bonds. So the buyers of these bonds and commercial papers were large banks or corporate banks or tier one banks and investment institutions, global firms such as BlackRock, Vanguard, and other key players. These institutions then took these bonds and then kind of packaged them up into mortgage-backed securities and then sold them on to other investors. So it's more or less, these investors then kind of bought these as much as a kind of good securities, and then they would have packaged them and then sold them on and so forth. So who else would kind of buy them? So similar to what happened back in 2008 with the financial kind of crisis. So with that, so how would this kind of then impact the crypto market? Because we all say, look, fiat currency shouldn't really have an influence over the crypto market. So I think one of the comments that was kind of worldly kind of put forward here is that there would be a ripple effect because as people try to unwind and try and sell the toxic investments from Evergrande and decrease their kind of risk exposure to the real estate sector. A lot of the companies, what they will be doing is now trying to offload these assets. And whilst offloading them, they're trying to reserve more cash in their books. So what you're going to see is, small, medium corporate investors, they will look to identify their highest risk assets and try to unload those. So this is where this might be the case in terms of the dip around about that time where the Chinese corporate companies and stuff try to gather enough cash to balance their books. And that is what could have led to the reduction in the price. And as you can tell here, without doubt, the red sign here is the money outflow. So the money that it has outflowed out from the exchange. Looks like money's still going out as of today. And as you can tell, the price of Bitcoin today is obviously, it's going to consolidate based on my analysis and perspective. It will consolidate over the next couple of weeks. But when you go into an update from one of the veterans, Novak Gratz, he reckons, I think the market got itself a little too long. The China news scared people, he said, and also noted concerns of United States regulatory activity. So for the short term, very important levels to watch are 40,000 for Bitcoin. So when you look at 40,000, so he reckons it will be up around here. So within that period, I think there may be another, he's reckoned the support will be here based on 40,000. So it could be the previous support here to watch out for. So when I look at the fear and greed indicator, it's obviously shown that fear today at 27. So as they say, people who are fearful, they should be in a position of being positive and buying. So I'm always of the opinion that money is always made in developing areas. So when people are fearful, go ahead and buy the dip. That's what um, the saying is in the market. But when you look at the previous couple of days, as you can tell, yesterday they had a neutral indicator, then it went over to fear today. Last week was fear, and obviously last month it was extreme greed. So yeah. So in terms of who got wrecked over the last 24 hours, so when you look at the data in the past 24 hours, there was over 115,000 traders who got liquidated with the Southern dump. Excuse me. And as you can tell, people, there's 158 bitcoins that people were liquidated in, and followed by Ethereum, who will go. People will. Oh no, that's wrong indicator. I do it 24 hours. Let's refresh that. Okay, 24 hours. Yes. So over the period of 24 hours, as you can tell, 749 million. I was thinking that number was low. So previous number was low. So 749 hundred. Oh damn! What a time for it to reload. Okay, I will let that wait. So it looks like we got timed out. So yeah, a lot of people got wrecked. They went long and they got liquidated with a sudden drop down. So unfortunate for them. So options and futures are a tough game. You've got to have strong resilience and a lot of money. So now let's move on to the market news. So when we look at the news that's been happening as of today, so Central Bank of Ukraine is to promote fair Bitcoin regulation. So the regulators probably are of the opinion that they will probably look to provide a balanced, non-biased perspective in terms of how cryptocurrency or virtual assets can be used across the financial players within Ukraine. So, and I think one of the concerns for a lot of the regulators has been more or less around um, anti-money laundering and KYC. So if organizations are able to identify who the client is that they're providing money to, so they're not kind of laundering money, and also anti-money laundering facilities or functions in place so they can identify patterns of behaviors of any kind of anti-money laundering. So I think there's a lot of things that exchanges and everyone needs to take into consideration. So that's something that they will need to do. So the next bit of the news I was going to share is that in South Korea this week, the regulators have identified that there is a deadline that the cryptocurrency exchanges and wallet operators need to comply with new regulatory requirements in order to stay open in South Korea this week. And so far, only one crypto exchange has been licensed to continue to operate. About 60 crypto exchanges are expected to either shut down or reduce services. So if you are a crypto exchange or wallet operator, the reporting and use of specific financial transaction information, Special Act, um, and also must have appropriate information security management systems in place, which has to be certified and registered with the South Korean Financial Intelligence Unit by September the 24th. So they have 3 more days. And crypto exchanges who fail to do that must cease operations on that day. So this is a very strict deadline set by the regulators, and I'm under the impression that the regulators would have notified these crypto exchanges in advance to ensure that they can go through the requirements and identify areas of gaps, and also remediate those, and also um, share the certification to the regulators to kind of do the final kind of confirmation whether they kind of meet the guidelines and are compliant. But looks like, according to the local media, only 34 exchanges have not received the ISMS certification, the Information Security Management System certification. So they are expected to shut down entirely on the September 24th. And a total of 29 crypto exchanges have been ISMS certified, but only one has successfully registered with the Financial Intelligence Unit. So with that in mind, we may see, it's hard to tell what would happen on Friday. I don't have any data in terms of in South Korea the adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and the number of trades being done. I'm assuming a lot of these people who are with crypto exchanges that that is likely to cease operation that day, they'll probably move it to the one that is open, or they may sell their crypto assets into fiat currency. So they will wait until they know which crypto exchanges they can use to trade. So those are the two scenarios that may happen. But if South Korea, if people start to sell in masses, then we may see another dip based on that. Quickly go on to the next topic. So the P network protocol gets hacked and they lose around 277 Bitcoin on the Binance Smart Chain. And that is equivalent to, how much is that equivalent to? Oh, all right, there's equivalent to a lot of money. But yeah, so the Binance Smart Chain. So apparently the P network, which is a multi-chain bridging protocol, shared the announcement yesterday that it got hacked, losing 277 PBTC, which is the bridge version of Bitcoin on the Binance Smart Chain. And the protocol acknowledged that an attacker managed to exploit a kind of a bug in its code, and it took control of the stolen Bitcoin. So the Beijing contracts are currently working as usual, but with extra security measures enabled. So on the Binance Smart Chain has had a number of issues with some kind of DeFi's on its smart chain, where it had other kind of different types of issues where owners rug pulling people, and so forth. So yeah, so I would be very cautious in terms of if you come across any new kind of DeFi. Just do your own research, as there is, if you don't know who built the system and as they're anonymous, you can only go by the white paper and also the analysis based on some of the audits being done. So do your own research before you go into any kind of DeFi, especially a new one, because the price could go up. But remember, there are echo chambers out there where people kind of look to increase the price up before they dump it, and then the coin or is literally worth nothing. So that's the news on the P network protocol. They do say, however, that the P network, the wallet is still safe. But yeah, do look into the report as well. Another news, well, one of the biggest banks in Venezuela suffers a 5-day outage after a hack attempt. So so the bank has experienced an outage that has left its customers without services for 5 days. So the bank published a PR statement stating that this was the result of a terrorist attack on the national financial system being perpetrated in the form of a massive hack. More than 16 million customers are still without banking services at the time of writing. So this is very big. Imagine you have 16 million users who are unable to access their any cash from the ATM machines, any payments being met based on its direct debit standing order. So literally for 5 days, the bank has not been able to operate or provide any kind of services. So this will be interesting for me to do a deep dive on to understand a bit more about this. So in terms of how decentralized or finance um, can help and prevent these type of attacks, blockchain can do maybe. But in terms of a long term, the banks should look at blockchain technologies and see how they can be resilient and prevent these type of attacks. So I'll probably do a kind of separate kind of session on this and see how and what was done and what could have been done to prevent this. So quickly going to plug in here that there is, I do have a newsletter that goes out every other day or so. So this was my first one going out, and it's a market report. So yesterday we shared one out. It's a high-level market report, what happened, with some key updates. And as you can tell, El Salvador bought another 150 Bitcoins on yesterday's dip. So their total holdings as a country is 700 BTC. And I understand that the adoption for the crypto wallet or the ATM machine that they have was over 1 million. So it looks like the adoption is increasing, which is good. So more people adopt, more people use. We're going to likely see this going to increase. Yes, so sign up to our newsletter, get the important information, and then don't feel that you missed out on anything. And yes, the P network total US dollar amount based on the 277 P BTC that was taken equates to $12.7 million. A lot of money. So now I'm going to go to my favorite NFT for the show. So this is my favorite one. So it's in my newsletter. So it's by a creator called Shaka Blood. And he has this on Rarible, and it's part of one of his metaverse collection called Hoppers or Hoppers. So I remember that. So this is number 44, Hopper abduction. So I love this concept, as you can tell, the bunny has somebody inside who is taking control of everything he does, and he's in charge of the kind of the body in itself. So for me, it's a good way to kind of then kind of visualize the government's kind of planting stuff in our head, where we have somebody unconsciously taking over our body and directing us what we want to do. So that's my interpretation, and yeah, and I think his collection's great. So have a look at Rarible and see and check out his metaverse collection. And apart from that, I think I'm going to close off today's session and say, have a look at, register for my newsletter, join me on my Twitter journey, and we can all catch up and discuss things that are upcoming. And yeah, just say hi. So catch you all soon. Bye.